The men of Israel, the Lord has numbered you by your tribes. Stand ready. The journey he sets before us is holy, and his presence goes with us. Keep his commands and move when his cloud rises.
Ethiopian Bible 118, Numbers, Chapter 1. The Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tent of meeting, on the first day of the second month in the second year after the Israelites came out of the land of Egypt. The Lord said to Moses that the entire congregation of the children of Israel was to be counted by their clans and ancestral houses, recording the name of every male individually. Every man 20 years old and upward, all who were able to go out to war in Israel, were to be numbered by Moses and Aaron. With them were to be the leaders of each tribe, men who were heads of their ancestral houses and representatives of the people. The Lord appointed specific men from each tribe to assist Moses and Aaron in the counting. From the tribe of Reuben, from Simeon, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin, Dan, Asher, Gad, and Naphtali, each tribe was accounted for according to their families. The people assembled as commanded, and the census was conducted exactly as the Lord instructed Moses. Each man capable of military service was counted, tribe by tribe, clan by clan. The total number of Israelite men 20 years old and upward who were able to serve in the army was 603,550. However, the tribe of Levi was not counted among the others. The Lord had spoken to Moses, saying that the Levites were to be set apart for the care of the tabernacle of the covenant. They were entrusted with carrying, assembling, guarding, and serving the sacred dwelling of the Lord. The Levites were to camp around the tabernacle so that no wrath would fall upon the congregation of Israel. They were assigned a holy duty, standing between the presence of God and the people. Thus, the children of Israel did exactly as the Lord commanded Moses. The camp was organized according to tribes, banners, and appointed duties, establishing order, readiness, and obedience as they journeyed through the wilderness under the guidance of the Lord.
The camp of Judah will set its banner to the east by the rising of the sun. Beside them, Issachar and Zebulun. Let their tents be pitched in order. To the south, the
Ethiopian Bible 119, Numbers. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Every man of Israel shall camp by his own standard, beside the banners of his family, facing the direction of his tribe. The leaders of the tribes shall set the people in order, and each tribe shall pitch its tents by its divisions, according to the number of those enrolled. The camps shall be arranged to maintain order, protection, and proper organization for the journey ahead. Each tribe has its place and responsibility, and the Lord will be among them as they follow his guidance." Moses and Aaron conveyed these instructions to the people of Israel, organizing each tribe with precision. The men listened carefully as the order of the camps was explained, understanding that God's guidance provided both structure and security for the journey through the wilderness. The census and arrangement of the camps reflected God's wisdom and care, preparing the people for the responsibilities and challenges ahead.
You are chosen to guard the dwelling of the Most High. You will bear his holy things upon your shoulders and keep watch at every gate. Stand with Aaron and his sons, and serve before the
Ethiopian Bible 120, Numbers. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Bring the tribe of Levi near and assign them to serve me. They shall be responsible for the care of the tabernacle, its furnishings, and everything related to the sanctuary. The Levites shall be set apart from the other tribes to minister to me, assisting Aaron and his sons in all that concerns the holy place." Moses gathered the Levites and conveyed God's instructions. He explained that their duties included guarding the tabernacle, carrying sacred objects, performing rituals, and teaching the people God's laws. The Levites accepted their sacred responsibility with solemn reverence, knowing that their service was both an honor and a heavy duty. God's blessing would rest upon them as they faithfully carried out their assigned tasks.
Sons of Levi, hear the order of the Lord. Gershon, you will bear the curtains and cords, keep them folded, bound, and ready for raising the dwelling.
Ethiopian Bible 121, Numbers 4. Voiceover. Prompt. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Take a census of the Levites according to their clans and families, listing every male from 30 to 50 years old who is able to perform the work of the tabernacle. Assign them specific duties for carrying, setting up, and caring for the sanctuary and all its furnishings. The responsibilities shall be divided according to the families of Gershon, Kohath, and Merari, each with tasks suited to their calling." Moses and Aaron followed God's instructions carefully, counting the Levites and assigning each man to his specific work. The Gershonites were tasked with the care of the tabernacle's curtains and coverings, the Kohathites with the sacred objects, and the Merarites with the frames and structural elements. Every Levite understood that their service was holy, their labor sanctified, and their obedience honored the Lord, ensuring the tabernacle remained holy and functional for God's presence among Israel.
Hear the word the Lord has spoken to you. Be holy, for he is holy. Let no uncleanness remain among you. Those who are defiled shall go outside the camp until they are made clean.
Ethiopian Bible 122, Numbers 5. Voiceover prompt, complete, faithful, not shortened. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying that the camp of Israel must remain pure, for the Lord dwells among his people. Any person who was ceremonially unclean because of disease, bodily discharge, or contact with the dead was to be sent outside the camp until purification was complete. This command was given so that the holiness of the camp would not be defiled by uncleanness. The Lord then instructed Moses concerning restitution for wrongdoing. If a man or woman sinned against another, they had sinned against the Lord. They were required to confess their sin openly, restore what was taken in full, and add an additional portion as restitution. If the injured person had no near relative to receive repayment, the restitution belonged to the Lord and was given to the priest, along with the ram of atonement. The Lord also established the law of jealousy. If a husband suspected his wife of unfaithfulness but had no witnesses, he was to bring her before the priest along with an offering. The priest would place the woman before the Lord, prepare holy water mixed with dust from the tabernacle floor, and speak the curse. If the woman was innocent, no harm would come to her, but if she had been unfaithful, the curse would take effect as a sign before the people. This law was given to preserve justice, prevent hidden sin, and place judgment in the hands of God alone. Moses proclaimed all these commands to the Israelites, and the people obeyed as the Lord had instructed, keeping the camp holy, just, and ordered according to God's presence among them.
The man or woman who sets apart a vow of the Nazirite to the Lord shall keep themselves holy. No razor shall touch their head until the days of their dedication.
Ethiopian Bible 123, Numbers 6. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when a man or a woman makes a special vow, a vow of separation to dedicate themselves to the Lord as a Nazirite, they shall separate themselves from wine and strong drink. They shall drink no wine vinegar or strong drink vinegar, and they shall not drink any grape juice, nor eat fresh or dried grapes. All the days of their separation, nothing that is produced by the grapevine, from seed to skin, shall be eaten. All the days of the vow of separation, no razor shall come upon their head. Until the time of separation to the Lord is fulfilled, they shall be holy, and let the locks of hair on their head grow long. All the days that they separate themselves to the Lord, they shall not go near a dead body. Even for father or mother, brother or sister, they shall not make themselves unclean if they die, because the separation to God is upon their head. All the days of their separation, they are holy to the Lord. If someone dies suddenly beside them, defiling their consecrated head, they shall shave their head on the day of purification and bring offerings as instructed, restoring their vow. But the former days shall be void, because their separation was defiled. Afterward, the Nazirite shall renew their vow and complete the days of consecration. The Lord then gave Moses the blessing for Aaron and his sons to speak over the people of Israel, saying, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. So they were commanded to place the name of the Lord upon the people of Israel, and he would bless them.
Moses, speak, for I am with you.
Ethiopian Bible 124, Numbers 7. Voiceover prompt, complete, faithful, not shortened. After Moses finished setting up the tabernacle, he anointed and consecrated it and all its furnishings, including the altar and its utensils. On the day the altar was anointed, the leaders of Israel, the heads of their families, the tribal leaders who had supervised the census, brought offerings before the Lord. They presented 6 covered carts and 12 oxen, 1 cart for every 2 leaders, and 1 ox for each leader, and they brought them before the tabernacle. The Lord said to Moses that these gifts were to be accepted and used for the work of the tent of meeting, given to the Levites according to their service. Moses gave 2 carts and 4 oxen to the Gershonites for their work, and 4 carts and 8 oxen to the Merarites, under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. But he gave none to the Kohathites, because they were responsible for the care of the most holy things, which they carried on their shoulders. When the altar was dedicated, the leaders brought their offerings before it. The Lord said to Moses that each leader was to bring his offering on a different day for the dedication of the altar. One by one, each tribal leader presented the same offering: a silver plate and a silver bowl filled with fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering, a gold dish filled with incense, a young bull, a ram, and a male lamb for a burnt offering, a male goat for a sin offering, and 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs for a fellowship offering. Day after day, tribe after tribe came forward, until all 12 leaders had presented their offerings. Though the gifts were identical, each was given individually, honoring each tribe before the Lord. When Moses entered the tent of meeting to speak with the Lord, he heard the voice speaking to him from between the cherubim above the atonement cover on the Ark of the Covenant. And the Lord spoke with Moses there.
Behold, O Lord, your servants stand cleansed before you. Sanctify them for your holy work. Receive them, O God.
Ethiopian Bible 125, Numbers 8. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and tell him that when he sets up the lamps, the 7 lamps shall give light in front of the lampstand. Aaron did so. He set up the lamps to face forward, just as the Lord commanded Moses. The lampstand was made of hammered gold, from its base to its blossoms, according to the pattern the Lord had shown Moses. The Lord then spoke to Moses concerning the Levites, saying, Take the Levites from among the children of Israel and cleanse them. This is how you shall purify them. Sprinkle water of purification on them. Have them shave their entire bodies, wash their clothes, and cleanse themselves. Then let them take a young bull with its grain offering of fine flour mixed with oil, and another young bull as a sin offering. Bring the Levites before the tent of meeting, and assemble the whole congregation of the Israelites. When the Levites are brought before the Lord, the Israelites shall lay their hands on them. Aaron shall present the Levites before the Lord as a wave offering from the Israelites, so that they may perform the service of the Lord. The Levites shall lay their hands on the heads of the bulls. One shall be offered as a sin offering, and the other as a burnt offering, to make atonement for the Levites. Thus you shall set the Levites apart from the Israelites, and they shall belong to me. After that, the Levites shall go in to serve at the tent of meeting, once you have cleansed them and presented them as an offering. For they are wholly given to me from among the Israelites. I have taken them in place of all the firstborn of Israel. On the day I struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, I consecrated the Levites for myself. From the age of 25 years and upward, a Levite shall enter to perform service in the work of the tent of meeting. At 50 years old, he shall retire from regular service, but may assist his brothers in guarding duties. Thus the Levites are appointed according to my command. Moses, Aaron, And the entire congregation of Israel did exactly as the Lord commanded concerning the Levites, leaving nothing undone.
The Passover of the Lord shall be kept in its appointed time, from generation to generation.
My lord, we are unclean because of a dead body. Must we be cut off from keeping the Passover?
What shall be done for them, brother?
Wait.
Ethiopian Bible, 126, Numbers 9. The Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai during the first month of the second year after Israel came out of Egypt. He instructed Moses that the Israelites were to keep the Passover at its appointed time, on the 14th day of the month at twilight, according to all its statutes and ordinances. Moses conveyed this command to the people, and the Israelites observed the Passover in the wilderness of Sinai, exactly as the Lord had commanded. However, there were some men who had become ceremonially unclean because they had come into contact with a dead body. Because of this, they were unable to keep the Passover on the appointed day. They came before Moses and Aaron and asked why they should be excluded from presenting the Lord's offering at the proper time among the people of Israel. Moses told them to wait, that he might hear what the Lord would command concerning them. The Lord then spoke to Moses, providing a provision for those who were unclean or on a distant journey. He declared that such individuals could observe the Passover 1 month later, on the 14th day of the second month, at twilight. They were to eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs, and leave none of it until morning, just as with the regular Passover. But if anyone who was clean and not on a journey failed to keep the Passover, that person would be cut off from the people for neglecting the Lord's appointed time. The chapter concludes with the guidance of the cloud over the tabernacle. On the day the tabernacle was set up, the cloud covered it, appearing like fire by night. Whenever the cloud lifted, the Israelites set out. When it settled, they camped. Whether the cloud remained for a day, a month, or a year, the Israelites stayed encamped or moved only at the Lord's command. Thus, they obeyed the Lord's direction through Moses, guided continually by his presence.
Rise, O Israel! The Lord goes before us. Follow the cloud. We shall journey as he commands.
Ethiopian Bible 127, Numbers 10. The Lord spoke to Moses, commanding him to make 2 silver trumpets, hammered from pure silver. These trumpets were to be used for summoning the congregation and directing the movement of the camps. When both trumpets were sounded, the entire assembly was to gather before Moses at the entrance of the tent of meeting. When only one trumpet was sounded, the leaders and heads of the tribes were to assemble. Different trumpet blasts carried different meanings. A long blast called the people together. Short, broken blasts signaled the camps to set out. When the eastern camps heard the signal, they were to begin their journey. The southern camps followed after the second signal. In times of war, the trumpets were to be blown as a cry to the Lord, that he would remember his people and save them from their enemies. During appointed festivals, new moons, and sacred assemblies, the trumpets were to be sounded over burnt offerings and peace offerings as a reminder before God. On the 20th day of the second month, in the second year, the cloud lifted from above the tabernacle of the testimony. The Israelites set out from the wilderness of Sinai, traveling according to their divisions. The standard of the camp of Judah led the way, followed by Issachar and Zebulun. The Levites dismantled the tabernacle and carried its sacred components, preparing for its reassembly at the next encampment. Moses spoke to Hobab, son of Reuel the Midianite, urging him to travel with Israel and serve as a guide through the wilderness. Though hesitant at first, Moses appealed to him, promising that he would share in the goodness the Lord would give to Israel. As the Ark of the Covenant set out, Moses declared, "Rise up, O Lord, may your enemies be scattered, and may those who hate you flee before you." When the Ark came to rest, Moses proclaimed, "Return, O Lord, to the countless thousands of Israel." Thus the people journeyed forward, guided by the cloud of the Lord by day, obedient to his command, and moving as one nation under his presence.
Lord, I can bear this people no longer. Give me strength, or take me from them.
What is upon us? His words burn in my bones.
Let it be as you have.
Ethiopian Bible 128, Numbers 11. The people of Israel began to complain bitterly as they journeyed through the wilderness. Their words rose up like a fire, and the Lord heard their complaints. His anger burned against them, and fire from the Lord consumed the edges of the camp. The people cried out to Moses, and Moses prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. That place was called Taberah, because the fire of the Lord had burned among them. Soon after, the mixed multitude among them developed a strong craving. The Israelites wept again and said, "Who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish we ate freely in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our strength is gone. There is nothing at all except this manna before our eyes." The manna was like coriander seed, appearing like resin on the ground. The people went about gathering it, grinding it, pounding it in mortars, cooking it in pots, and making cakes from it. Its taste was like food made with olive oil. When the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna fell with it. Moses heard the people weeping throughout their families, each one at the entrance of his tent. The Lord became exceedingly angry, and Moses was distressed. Moses said to the Lord, "Why have you afflicted your servant? Why have I not found favor in your sight, that you lay the burden of all this people on me? Did I conceive them? Did I give birth to them, that you should say to me, 'Carry them in your bosom, as a nurse carries a child'? Where am I to get meat to give to all this people? I am not able to carry all this people alone. The burden is too heavy for me." The Lord said to Moses, "Gather for me 70 elders of Israel, men whom you know to be elders and officers among the people. Bring them to the tent of meeting, and let them stand there with you. I will come down and speak with you there. I will take some of the Spirit that is upon you and place it upon them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with you." The Lord also said, "Tell the people, 'Consecrate yourselves for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat.' You have wept in the ears of the Lord, saying, 'Who will give us meat?' Therefore the Lord will give you meat, and you shall eat, not for 1 day, nor 2, nor 5, nor 10, but for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you, because you rejected the Lord who is among you." Moses questioned how this could be possible, but the Lord replied, "Is the Lord's hand shortened? You shall now see whether my word will come true." Moses gathered the 70 elders and placed them around the tent. The Lord came down in the cloud and spoke with him, and he took of the Spirit that was on Moses and placed it upon the elders. When the Spirit rested on them, they prophesied but did not continue. 2 men remained in the camp, Eldad and Medad, and the Spirit rested on them also. They prophesied in the camp, and a young man ran to tell Moses. Joshua urged Moses to stop them, but Moses replied, "Are you jealous for my sake? Would that all the Lord's people were prophets, that the Lord would put his Spirit upon them." Then a wind from the Lord drove quail in from the sea and scattered them around the camp. The people gathered the quail all that day and night and the next day. But while the meat was still between their teeth, the anger of the Lord was kindled against the people, and he struck them with a severe plague. That place was called Kibroth Hattava, because there they buried the people who had craved meat. From there the people journeyed to Hazeroth and remained there.
Master, do not lay this sin upon us. I beg you, look at her!
The flesh of my sister is as one dead. O Lord, I beseech you, heal her now!
Ethiopian Bible 129, Numbers 12. Voiceover. Prompt. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman he had married, questioning why he should have unique authority over the people. The Lord heard their words and summoned them to the tent of meeting. God said, "Listen to my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him I speak face to face, clearly, not in riddles, and he beholds the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant?" Suddenly the Lord's presence enveloped Miriam and Aaron. Miriam became leprous, her skin turning white as snow. Aaron pleaded with Moses to intercede on her behalf. Moses cried to the Lord, saying, "Please, God, heal her." The Lord answered, "If her father had spit in her face, would she not bear the disgrace for 7 days? Confine her outside the camp for 7 days, then she may return." The people waited as Miriam was confined, and after 7 days she was healed and allowed to rejoin the community. The Lord's words reminded Israel of his authority, the importance of obedience, and the sacredness of his chosen servant Moses.
Brothers, do not shrink back. The land is good, flowing with promise. The Lord will give it to us.
The cities are strong, yes, but their walls are nothing before our God. Take courage.
Ethiopian Bible, 131, Numbers 14. When the Israelites heard the report of the 12 scouts, fear and despair filled their hearts. They wept loudly throughout the night, murmuring against Moses and Aaron, saying, "If only we had died in Egypt or in this desert. Why has the Lord brought us to this land only to fall into the hands of its people? They are stronger than we are, and the cities are fortified and large." Caleb and Joshua, 2 of the scouts who had faith in God's promise, tried to calm the people. "The land is exceedingly good, and its fruits are abundant. Let us go up and take possession, trusting in the Lord, for he is with us. Do not fear the people, for they shall be delivered into our hands." But the people would not listen. Their fear turned to rebellion, and they spoke of choosing a leader to take them back to Egypt. The Lord's anger burned against the Israelites for their lack of faith and for despising his promise. God declared through Moses, "As for these men who have seen my glory and the signs I performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, yet still test me and do not obey, they shall not enter the land I promised. Only Caleb and Joshua among this assembly shall see it, for they have wholly followed me." The congregation wailed and grumbled against Moses, but the Lord reminded him of his covenant, his mercy, and his justice. He commanded Moses to lead the people back into the wilderness, where they would wander 40 years, 1 year for each day the scouts explored the land, until all the unbelieving generation passed away, leaving the promise to the faithful and obedient.
Hear the word of the Lord. With grateful hearts you shall bring the first of your grain, finest of your herds, and the oil of your presses. Let it rise.
Ethiopian Bible, 132, Numbers 15. The Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, giving instructions to the Israelites regarding offerings, laws, and obedience. He commanded them to bring burnt offerings and grain offerings daily, as a pleasing aroma to the Lord, and to observe his commandments faithfully. Every act of worship and sacrifice was to be done with reverence and intention, reflecting the covenant between God and his people. God detailed the rules for unintentional sins and deliberate transgressions, explaining how atonement could be made through sacrifices and emphasizing that obedience to his commandments would bring blessings and life, while rebellion and defiance would bring judgment. The Lord reminded the Israelites that they were a holy people, set apart from the nations, and that they must keep his statutes and ordinances in every generation. The Lord further instructed that the children of Israel must remember their covenant, including the commandments, feasts, and Sabbaths, and teach them diligently to their children. He emphasized that acts of defiance would not only affect the individual, but also the community, stressing collective responsibility and faithfulness to the covenant. Through these instructions, the Lord demonstrated his desire for order, holiness, and the enduring relationship between him and his people.
Take too much upon yourselves, Moses!
The whole congregation is holy! O Lord, do not destroy them all for the sin of these men. Show whom you have chosen.
What is this?
Ethiopian Bible, 133, Numbers 16. Korah, Dathan, Abiram, and a group of leaders from the Israelite congregation rose in rebellion against Moses and Aaron. They challenged their authority, questioning why Moses and Aaron set themselves above the Lord's assembly. "Why do you exalt yourselves above the Lord's people?" they demanded, inciting murmurs and unrest among the Israelites. Moses fell on his face and interceded with the Lord, praying for the people and seeking understanding. The Lord spoke, commanding separation between the faithful and the rebellious. He instructed Moses to have Korah, Dathan, Abiram, and their followers bring censers with fire before the Lord. The assembly gathered at the entrance of the tent of meeting, where God's judgment was revealed. Suddenly, the ground opened and swallowed Korah, Dathan, Abiram, their families, and all who were allied with them, along with their possessions, as a sign of the Lord's righteous judgment. Fire also consumed the 250 men offering incense, demonstrating God's holiness and intolerance for rebellion. The Israelites who witnessed these events trembled with fear and acknowledged the authority of Moses and Aaron as appointed by God. Through this, the Lord reminded the people that faithfulness, obedience, and reverence were paramount, and that rebellion against his chosen leaders would not be tolerated.
Behold the staff of Aaron. The Lord has chosen.
Ethiopian Bible, 134, Numbers 17. Voiceover. Prompt. The Lord spoke to Moses, commanding a sign to confirm Aaron's priesthood and to quell the unrest among the Israelites. Each of the 12 tribal leaders was to bring a staff, engraved with the name of his tribe's head, and place it in the tent of meeting before the Ark of the Covenant. Moses followed the Lord's instructions, and the staffs were placed overnight as a testimony to the people. The next morning, Aaron's staff had miraculously sprouted, blossomed, and produced almonds, a sign of God's chosen priesthood. Moses brought all the staffs out before the congregation, and the people saw the miraculous flowering of Aaron's staff. The Lord instructed Moses to place Aaron's staff in front of the ark as a lasting sign to prevent future disputes and rebellion. Through this sign, God demonstrated his authority, confirming Aaron as the legitimate high priest and teaching the Israelites the importance of obedience, faith, and trust in his appointed leaders. The flowering staff became a powerful symbol of divine selection, holiness, and the Lord's intimate involvement in the guidance of his people.
These are the statutes of the Lord, that you and your sons shall keep his priesthood, and offer before him what is holy.
We will serve according to all his command, my brother.
Then let the offering...
Ethiopian Bible 135, Numbers 18. The Lord spoke to Aaron and Moses, defining the duties, responsibilities, and privileges of the priesthood. Aaron and his sons were to serve as priests, handling the sacred offerings, maintaining the sanctuary, and teaching the Israelites the Lord's commandments. The Lord emphasized that the Levites were dedicated to serve him, and he granted them a portion of the offerings brought by the people as their inheritance. God instructed that the priests and Levites receive a portion of grain, sin offerings, and sacrificial animals, ensuring that those consecrated to his service could live without need while focusing entirely on the sacred duties of the tabernacle. The Lord made clear that the Levites were wholly dedicated to the service of the sanctuary, and all offerings given to the priests were holy, to be treated with reverence and respect. Through these commands, the Lord affirmed the sacred roles of the priests and Levites, showing the importance of obedience, holiness, and careful stewardship of what was dedicated to him. The Israelites were reminded that their offerings honored God, and that the designated servants of the Lord were to guide and teach them faithfully, maintaining purity, worship, and divine order among the people.
This is the statute of purification. Holy is the Lord who commands it.
Ethiopian Bible 136, Numbers 19. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, giving instructions concerning the purification ritual for those who had come into contact with death. God commanded that a red heifer, without blemish and untouched by labor, be brought outside the camp and completely sacrificed. Its ashes were to be carefully gathered and stored to be used for purification of the unclean. The heifer was to be burned completely, along with cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet yarn. The ashes mixed with water would create the water of purification, cleansing anyone who had touched a corpse or had been defiled. The Lord emphasized that these procedures were holy and necessary to maintain the sanctity of the camp and the presence of God among his people. Through this ritual, the Israelites were reminded of the seriousness of death and impurity, and the importance of following God's commands to remain clean. The water of purification symbolized cleansing, restoration, and the Lord's guidance in keeping his people holy and devoted, even in the face of unavoidable contamination by death.
Here now, you rebels! Shall we bring you water out of this rock?
The Lord has provided.
Ethiopian Bible, 137, Numbers 20. The Israelites journeyed through the wilderness and came to the desert of Zin, where they camped at Kadesh. There the people faced a severe lack of water, and they grumbled against Moses and Aaron, questioning why they had been brought out of Egypt only to die of thirst in the desert. The Lord spoke to Moses, instructing him to speak to the rock to bring forth water for the people and their livestock. Moses, overwhelmed by the anger and despair of the people, struck the rock twice with his staff instead of speaking to it as God commanded. Water gushed forth abundantly, satisfying the thirst of the Israelites and their livestock. However, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron that because they had not trusted him fully and had not honored him as holy before the people, they would not bring the assembly into the promised land. The chapter recounts the deaths of Miriam and Aaron. Miriam passed away and was buried at Kadesh. Aaron, too, was told by the Lord that he would not enter the land, and he ascended Mount Hor with Moses, where he laid down his garments and transferred the high priestly office to his son Eleazar before he died. The people mourned for Aaron 30 days. The Lord then commanded the Israelites to move forward toward Edom, and the chapter recounts their victories over surrounding kings, emphasizing obedience, divine judgment, and God's faithfulness in sustaining his people.
And when they looked upon the serpent, they lived. From the wilderness, the Lord led his people onward, healed, restored, singing at the wells of his...
Ethiopian Bible 138, Numbers 21. Voiceover prompt, long, complete, faithful paraphrase. The children of Israel continued their journey through the wilderness as the Lord guided them onward. When the Canaanite king of Arad heard that Israel was coming by the way of Atharim, he fought against Israel and took some of them captive. The people cried out to the Lord and made a vow, saying that if he would indeed deliver their enemies into their hands, they would utterly destroy their cities. The Lord heard the voice of Israel and gave the Canaanites into their power, and they destroyed them and their cities completely. The place was called Hormah, for it became a sign of the Lord's judgment and victory. As they traveled from Mount Hor along the way of the Red Sea to go around the land of Edom, the soul of the people grew impatient because of the hardship of the journey. They spoke against God and against Moses, complaining about the lack of food and water, despising the manna that God provided daily. Because of this rebellion, the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and many were bitten and died. The people came to Moses and confessed their sin, asking him to pray to the Lord to remove the serpents from them. Moses interceded on their behalf, and the Lord commanded him to make a serpent of bronze and set it upon a pole. Whoever was bitten and looked upon the bronze serpent lived. Moses obeyed, and the Lord spared the people who turned their eyes in faith. The Israelites then moved forward through the wilderness, traveling from place to place as the Lord sustained them. They came to wells and valleys, where Israel sang songs of praise for the water God provided. As they approached the territory of the Amorites, Moses sent messengers to King Sihon, asking for peaceful passage through his land, promising not to turn aside into fields or vineyards. But Sihon refused and came out against Israel in battle. The Lord delivered Sihon and all his people into the hand of Israel. They struck him down and took possession of his land, from the Arnon to the Jabbok. Israel then turned north and faced Og, king of Bashan. The Lord said to Moses, "Do not fear him, for I have delivered him into your hand." Israel defeated Og and took possession of his territory as well. Thus, the Lord strengthened Israel, giving them victory over mighty kings and preparing them for the land he had promised to their fathers.
Easy, beast. Why do you stop?
Balaam, son of Beor, the path you walk is perverse before me.
Ethiopian Bible, 139, Numbers, 22. The Israelites continued their journey and camped in the plains of Moab, beyond the Jordan, opposite Jericho. From his high places, Balak son of Zippor, king of Moab, watched the vast encampment of Israel spread across the land like a living sea. Fear seized him. The people of Moab were terrified because Israel was numerous and powerful, and they dreaded what this multitude might do to their land, just as an ox devours the grass of the field. Balak spoke to the elders of Midian, saying that Israel would consume everything around them. Seeking protection, Balak sent messengers to Balaam, son of Beor, a renowned diviner who lived near the Euphrates. Balak pleaded with Balaam to come and curse Israel, believing that whoever Balaam blessed was blessed, and whoever he cursed was cursed. When the messengers arrived, Balaam received them and asked them to stay the night so he could seek guidance from God. That night, God spoke to Balaam, telling him not to go with the men and not to curse Israel, for the people were blessed. In the morning, Balaam refused Balak's request and sent the messengers away. Balak, however, did not relent. He sent more honorable officials with promises of great wealth and prestige. Balaam again sought God, and this time God permitted him to go, but strictly commanded that he must speak only what God told him to speak. As Balaam set out riding his donkey, accompanied by servants, God's anger was kindled because Balaam went with improper intent. The angel of the Lord stood in the road as an adversary. The donkey saw the angel with a drawn sword and turned aside into a field. Balaam struck the donkey to force it back onto the road. Again the angel stood in a narrow path between vineyards. The donkey pressed against a wall, crushing Balaam's foot, and he struck the donkey again. A third time, the angel blocked the path completely. The donkey lay down under Balaam, and in fury, Balaam beat her with his staff. Then the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she spoke, asking why Balaam had beaten her 3 times. Balaam answered angrily, complaining that she had made him a fool. The donkey reminded Balaam of her faithfulness throughout his life. At that moment, the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing with a drawn sword. The angel rebuked Balaam, explaining that the donkey had saved his life by turning aside. Balaam confessed his sin and offered to return home, but the angel told him to continue, warning him again to speak only the words God would give him. Balaam finally arrived to meet Balak. Balak expressed frustration at Balaam's delay and reminded him of the rewards promised. Balaam answered firmly that he could only speak what God put in his mouth. Balak took Balaam to the high places overlooking Israel, where Balaam could see only part of the people, setting the stage for what would follow.
You were to curse them, prophet.
How shall I curse whom God has not cursed? Behold, a people dwelling alone, a nation set apart.
Ethiopian Bible, 140, Numbers, 23. Voiceover prompt, full chapter narrative. Balak, king of Moab, brings Balaam to the high places of Baal so that he may look upon the vast encampment of Israel spread across the plains. From there, Balaam instructs Balak to build 7 altars and to prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams, offering them as sacrifices. Balaam separates himself to seek divine guidance, standing apart while the smoke of the offerings rises. The Most High meets Balaam and places a word in his mouth. Balaam returns to Balak and the princes of Moab and delivers the oracle. He declares that Balak has brought him from Aram to curse Israel. Yet how can he curse whom God has not cursed? How can he denounce those whom the Almighty has not denounced? From the tops of the rocks, Balaam sees Israel dwelling alone, not reckoned among the nations. Their numbers are beyond counting, like dust covering the earth. Balaam proclaims that the destiny of the righteous people of Israel is blessed, and he longs to die the death of the righteous and share in their end. Balak is angered and rebukes Balaam, saying he called him to curse his enemies, yet he has blessed them instead. Balaam answers that he can only speak what God places in his mouth. Balak then brings Balaam to another vantage point, the field of Zophim on the top of Pisgah, hoping the outcome will change. Again, 7 altars are built, and offerings are made. Balaam seeks the word of God once more. The Lord meets him again and gives another message. Balaam proclaims that God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should change his mind. What God has spoken, he will accomplish. Balaam declares that he has received a command to bless, and he cannot reverse it. No sorcery or divination can stand against Israel. The Lord their God is with them, and the shout of a king is among them. God brought them out of Egypt with strength like a wild ox. At the proper time it will be said of Israel what great things God has done. Balak is distressed and tells Balaam neither to curse nor bless them at all. Balaam responds again that he must do only what the Lord commands. Still hoping for a different result, Balak takes Balaam to the top of Peor, overlooking the wilderness. The scene closes with tension unresolved, as the power and will of the Most High continues to shield Israel from every curse.
How dare you! I summoned you to curse them, not to honor them. I can speak only what the Most High puts in my mouth. Behold, blessed is this people, and blessed is the one who leads them.
Ethiopian Bible, 141, Numbers, chapter 24. Balaam lifted his eyes and saw Israel encamped tribe by tribe, arranged in perfect order across the plain. The Spirit of God came upon him, not by enchantment or divination, but by the will of the Most High. He did not seek omens, nor did he look for signs as before. Instead, revelation opened before him. He spoke his oracle, the word of Balaam, son of Beor, the man whose eyes are opened, the word of him who hears the sayings of God, who sees the vision of the Almighty, falling down, yet having his eyes uncovered. He beheld Israel's dwellings and declared their beauty, tents spread like valleys, gardens beside rivers, aloes planted by the Lord, cedars beside the waters. Water would flow from their buckets, their seed would be in many waters. Their king would be greater than Agag, and their kingdom exalted. God had brought them out of Egypt. They possessed strength like a wild ox. No sorcery could prevail against Jacob, no divination against Israel. In time it would be said, "See what God has done." Balaam saw Israel crouched like a lion, rising like a lioness. Who would dare rouse them? Those who blessed Israel would be blessed, and those who cursed them would be cursed. Balak's anger burned. He struck his hands together and rebuked Balaam, saying he had summoned him to curse Israel, yet instead he had blessed them repeatedly. He told Balaam to flee to his own place, declaring that honor had been withheld from him. But Balaam answered that he had warned Balak from the beginning. Even if given a house full of silver and gold, he could not go beyond the command of the Lord, to do either good or evil of his own will, only what the Lord spoke, that he must speak. Then Balaam gave his final prophecy, not only concerning Israel, but the days to come. He foresaw a star rising out of Jacob, a scepter arising out of Israel, striking the corners of Moab and breaking the sons of tumult. Edom would be dispossessed, Seir subdued, while Israel grew strong. He saw Amalek, first among the nations, yet destined for destruction. He saw the Kenites, secure in their rocky dwellings, yet destined to be carried away. He saw ships coming from distant lands, afflicting Asher and Eber, yet even they would come to ruin. Having spoken all that was revealed, Balaam rose and departed, returning to his place. Balak also went his way. Thus ended the oracle spoken not by human will, but by the Spirit of the Almighty.
The plague is stopped. The zeal of the Lord has turned away his wrath. Let Israel tremble and be made holy.
Ethiopian Bible, 142, Numbers, 25. While the Israelites were encamped at Shittim, they began to indulge in immorality with the Moabite women, who invited them to participate in the worship of their gods, particularly Baal of Peor. The Israelites ate sacrificial meals to these idols, and the Lord became exceedingly angry with the assembly. A plague struck the people, and many fell dead as judgment for their sin. Phinehas, the grandson of Aaron, saw an Israelite man bring a Midianite woman into his tent. With zeal for the Lord, Phinehas took a spear and struck both of them down, halting the plague. The Lord commended Phinehas for his zeal and declared a covenant of peace with him and his descendants, ensuring the priesthood's honor and the maintenance of holiness among the Israelites. The chapter emphasizes God's justice against idolatry, the importance of remaining faithful, and the reward for those who uphold his commands. The remaining Israelites mourned, repented, and turned back to the Lord.
Let each man by his father's house come forward, 20 years and upward, able to stand in the assembly of the Lord.
The tribe of Reuben is ready, my lord. Their number will be recorded.
Let them step forth. The Lord knows every name.
Ethiopian Bible, 143. Numbers, 26. Voiceover. Prompt. The Lord commanded Moses and Eleazar the priest to take a census of the entire Israelite community, counting all those 20 years old and above who were able to go to war in the camp of the Israelites. The census was taken to organize the people, determine the division of the promised land, and ensure the inheritance of each tribe. Each family and clan was carefully recorded, and the leaders of each tribe were appointed to assist in the counting. The chapter details the names of the sons of Israel who were counted, including the leaders of each tribe, and the total number of men capable of military service. The Lord reminded the Israelites of his covenant and the importance of obedience, faithfulness, and preparation for the inheritance awaiting them. Moses and Eleazar conveyed the Lord's instructions meticulously, ensuring that the community understood the significance of the census as a reflection of God's promises and their responsibilities. This chapter reinforces the themes of organization, divine guidance, and the preparation required for entering the promised land. The Israelites, aware of their responsibilities and the blessings awaiting them, responded with reverence and unity, acknowledging God's plan for their nation.
My lord, our father died in the wilderness and left no sons. Let his name not vanish among our people. Grant us his portion as is just.
The Lord hears your plea, and it shall...
Ethiopian Bible 144, Numbers 27. Voiceover prompt. The daughters of Zelophehad, Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah, approached Moses, Eleazar the priest, and the leaders of the Israelite community, pleading for their inheritance. Their father had died without sons, and they requested that they be granted a portion of land among their father's clan. Moses brought their case before the Lord, and the Lord affirmed their request, declaring that daughters could indeed inherit their father's property if no sons were present. The Lord instructed Moses to convey the inheritance laws to the Israelites, establishing a precedent to ensure fairness and justice in property rights. The chapter also addresses the leadership succession, as the Lord appointed Joshua, son of Nun, to succeed Moses, empowering him to lead the Israelites into the promised land. Moses laid his hands upon Joshua, commissioning him in the sight of all Israel, with the Lord's Spirit guiding his new role. This chapter highlights justice, inheritance rights, leadership transition, and the continuity of God's guidance over Israel. The Israelites witnessed the affirmation of fairness and divine authority, reinforcing their faith in God's law and the orderly transfer of leadership.
2 lambs each day, morning and evening, with grain and drink beside. On the Sabbath 2 more, and on the feasts as he has commanded. Keep them without blemish.
Ethiopian Bible 145, Numbers 28. The Lord spoke to Moses, instructing him to give the Israelites precise commands for their daily offerings and sacrifices. Every morning and evening, a lamb was to be offered, accompanied by grain and drink offerings, maintaining a continual act of worship and devotion. The instructions extended to the Sabbath, new moon, and appointed feasts, ensuring that the Israelites would honor God at all times with consistency, reverence, and obedience. The chapter details the offerings for each festival, including the Passover, the Feast of Weeks, and the Feast of Tabernacles. Specific numbers, types of animals, and accompanying grain and drink offerings were outlined, emphasizing meticulous adherence to God's instructions. Each offering was a visible demonstration of faithfulness, dedication, and recognition of God's sovereignty over Israel. Through these rituals, the Israelites were reminded of their covenant with the Lord and their dependence on His guidance and provision. This chapter reinforces the importance of ritual, obedience, and worship as integral to the life of Israel, providing structure and divine instruction to cultivate holiness and devotion among the people. Ethiopian Bible 146, Numbers 29. The Lord spoke to Moses, giving instructions for the offerings during the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacles. Each festival had precise requirements for burnt offerings, grain offerings, and drink offerings, with specific numbers of bulls, rams, and lambs to be presented. These offerings were meant to consecrate the people, atone for sins, and celebrate God's provision and faithfulness. The Feast of Trumpets was to be marked with trumpet blasts throughout the community, calling the Israelites to gather and recognize God's presence. On the Day of Atonement, special sacrifices were to be made for the purification of the entire nation. During the Feast of Tabernacles, the Israelites were to bring abundant offerings over 7 days, rejoicing and remembering God's guidance through the wilderness. Through these instructions, the Lord emphasized obedience, devotion, and remembrance of His covenant. Every act of worship was a tangible expression of faith, a reminder of God's power, mercy, and ongoing relationship with His people.
Bring the bull to the altar. Let the smoke rise as a pleasing fragrance before the Lord.
The grain and wine are prepared, my lord.
Offer them with glad hearts. Today we remember His covenant and
Ethiopian Bible 146, Numbers 29. The Lord spoke to Moses, giving instructions for the offerings during the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacles. Each festival had precise requirements for burnt offerings, grain offerings, and drink offerings, with specific numbers of bulls, rams, and lambs to be presented. These offerings were meant to consecrate the people, atone for sins, and celebrate God's provision and faithfulness. The Feast of Trumpets was to be marked with trumpet blasts throughout the community, calling the Israelites to gather and recognize God's presence. On the Day of Atonement, special sacrifices were to be made for the purification of the entire nation. During the Feast of Tabernacles, the Israelites were to bring abundant offerings over 7 days, rejoicing and remembering God's guidance through the wilderness. Through these instructions, the Lord emphasized obedience, devotion, and remembrance of His covenant. Every act of worship was a tangible expression of faith, a reminder of God's power, mercy, and ongoing relationship with His people.
Hear, O Israel, when a man makes a vow to the Lord, he shall not break his word. Whatever he has spoken with his mouth, he shall do. But if a woman vows in her father's house, or under
Ethiopian Bible 147, Numbers. The Lord spoke to Moses, instructing him concerning vows made by the Israelites. When a man made a vow to the Lord, he was obligated to fulfill it. Similarly, when a woman made a vow, it was binding, but her father or husband had the authority to confirm or nullify it on the day he heard it. The Lord emphasized the importance of keeping one's word, honoring commitments, and maintaining integrity before God and the community. Every vow, whether voluntary or made in response to a divine instruction, carried spiritual weight. The Israelites were to treat their promises seriously, recognizing that God values honesty, devotion, and obedience. The chapter clarified the responsibilities of men and women regarding vows, ensuring that the social and spiritual structures of the community supported faithfulness and accountability. Through these instructions, the Lord taught the people that their speech and promises are sacred, and that obedience to his commands fosters holiness, trust, and respect among the Israelites. Faithfulness to one's word was not only a personal duty, but a reflection of the covenant relationship with God. Ethiopian Bible, 148, Numbers 31. The Lord spoke to Moses, commanding him to take vengeance on the Midianites for leading the Israelites into sin through their counsel. Moses assembled 1,000 men from each tribe, sending them into battle under the leadership of Phinehas, the son of Eleazar the priest. The Israelites defeated Midian, capturing their cities, killing kings, and taking women and children as captives. They destroyed Midianite idols and burned their cities, as the Lord had commanded. After the battle, Moses was angry that the army had spared the women, for they had been the ones who seduced Israel into idolatry. The Lord instructed Moses to kill all male children and non-virgin women, while keeping virgin girls for themselves. The spoils of war, including livestock, gold, and possessions, were divided among the soldiers and the community according to God's instructions. This chapter emphasizes obedience, justice, and the seriousness of straying from God's covenant. The Israelites carefully followed God's command, purifying themselves and dedicating the spoils as offerings to the Lord. Through this, the Lord reinforced the importance of holiness, discipline, and fidelity to his covenant, demonstrating that faithfulness requires action and justice according to divine guidance.
You asked to dwell east of the river while your brothers cross into Canaan. Will you leave them to fight alone?
No, my lord. We will go before them, our swords drawn. Until the land is theirs, we will not
Our
rest.
families may keep the...
Ethiopian Bible, 149, Numbers 32. Voiceover. Prompt. The Reubenites and Gadites came to Moses and the leaders, saying, "The land on this side of the Jordan is suitable for our livestock. Let us settle there instead of crossing into Canaan." Moses expressed concern that if they did not join the other Israelites in battle, they would bear the guilt of disobedience. The tribes promised to build fortified cities for their families and livestock, and that their warriors would still cross the Jordan to fight until all Israel had taken possession of the promised land. Moses agreed, provided they fulfilled their oath to fight alongside their brethren until the land was fully conquered. The Reubenites and Gadites obediently agreed, demonstrating both practical wisdom and loyalty to God's command. The chapter emphasizes the balance between personal needs and communal responsibility, showing that obedience to God requires both prudence and commitment to the covenant community. Through this agreement, Moses ensured unity among the tribes, reinforcing that following God's instructions and supporting the collective mission of Israel was essential for blessing, protection, and inheritance of the Promised Land.
From the day the Lord delivered us from Egypt, we have walked valleys of thirst and mountains of trial. At each camp he fed us, and at each river he made a way, through fire by night and cloud.
Ethiopian Bible, 150, Numbers 33. The Lord commanded Moses to recount the journey of the Israelites from Egypt to the plains of Moab. Moses listed each encampment, from Ramesses to Succoth, through the wilderness, over deserts, valleys, and rivers, up to the borders of Canaan. This record served as a reminder of God's guidance, provision, and discipline during the 40-year journey. The chapter emphasizes God's faithfulness in leading his people and the importance of remembering their past to understand his blessings and judgments. Moses reminded the Israelites that every step had a purpose. Each trial, each encampment, each challenge in the desert shaped them into a nation obedient to God's covenant. God's hand was evident in their protection from enemies, provision of manna, water from the rock, and the survival of the entire community through harsh deserts. The chapter closes with instructions to drive out the inhabitants of Canaan and possess the land, highlighting obedience, remembrance, and trust in God's promises.
From the river here, across the hills, to the sea that gleams in the west, these are the borders the Lord has given. Each tribe will receive its portion. Mark.
Ethiopian Bible 151, Numbers 34. The Lord spoke to Moses, commanding him to give the Israelites the boundaries of the land of Canaan. The territory was to be divided among the tribes as their inheritance. Each border, from the wilderness of Zin in the south, along the Mediterranean Sea to the north, to the Jordan River in the east, and the territory of the Philistines in the west, was precisely delineated. God appointed leaders from each tribe to oversee the land distribution and ensure fairness. The chapter emphasizes God's order, justice, and faithful promise to give the Israelites a land of their own. Moses communicated these instructions to the Israelites, reminding them to follow God's guidance in dividing the land. Leaders and appointed men were responsible for surveying, marking boundaries, and assigning inheritance according to each tribe's size and needs. This chapter highlights that obedience to God's commands, trust in His provision, and adherence to divine justice would secure peace and blessing for the nation in the promised land.
These 48 cities shall be yours, scattered among the tribes. 6 of them, cities of refuge where the innocent may flee and live. The land is wide, yet the law of the Lord will hold it together.
Ethiopian Bible 152, Numbers 35. The Lord spoke to Moses, commanding the allocation of cities for the Levites throughout the territories of the other tribes. 6 cities were to be set aside as cities of refuge where anyone who unintentionally killed a person could flee for safety. In addition, the Levites were given 48 cities, complete with surrounding pasture lands, to dwell among the Israelites. The chapter emphasizes justice, mercy, and the sanctity of life, instructing the people on how to protect the innocent while upholding the law of God. Moses conveyed these instructions, detailing the specific cities and their surrounding lands. The Levites were to serve as priests and teachers, living among the people while maintaining their sacred duties. The cities of refuge would prevent blood vengeance, allowing the killer to be judged fairly. This chapter highlights the balance of divine justice and mercy, the importance of communal responsibility, and the central role of God's law in preserving righteousness among the Israelites.
Portion given to your father shall remain with you. Yet to keep the heritage of Manasseh whole, you shall marry within the tribe of your fathers. So the land is not carried from tribe to...
Ethiopian Bible 153, Numbers 36. The Lord spoke to Moses regarding the daughters of Zelophehad, instructing that when they married, they were to marry within their own tribe, so that the inheritance of land would remain within their family and tribe. This ensured that each tribe's portion of the promised land remained intact, and that God's allocation and promises were preserved. Moses conveyed these instructions to the Israelites, emphasizing obedience to God's commands regarding inheritance, family responsibility, and the unity of the tribes. The daughter's case highlighted fairness, justice, and divine guidance. God's law ensured that inheritance would be preserved according to tribal boundaries, while honoring the rights of women in their families. Each tribe was reminded to uphold God's commands, maintain equity, and protect the sanctity of the land allotted to them. This chapter underscores God's attention to detail, the importance of justice, and the preservation of His covenant among the people of Israel.